Well, welcome to another edition of the Influence Global podcast, and I'm delighted to have with me Damian Norman, who is the Director of Immersive Events at London's Excel. It's great to see you here today, Damian.
Thanks, Gordon. Pleasure to be
Yeah.
here.
And what really inspired me to have a chat with you is because I saw you on the stage at the CVEN recently and really fascinated to hear. And we've obviously had a subsequent meeting, haven't we, afterwards about what the whole world of immersive events is. So I thought we would really just, delve into that. Not only is your chosen subject, but it's really fascinating how it's changed the whole event space, not just for the commercial side, but also for consumers. But before we do that, Damien, perhaps you just give us a little bit of a background on your career to date before you started this job at Excel.
Sure. Happy to. So I studied business marketing at university, and I went into marketing, and I think it was because I could back then wear jeans and draw pictures and go out to lunch as people described my career in the early stages. And whilst there was a little bit of that, there was a good foundation in understanding how to drive audiences to things and those emotive responses that you need to get from people to make them want to follow a brand, go and see a thing, and fall in love with something. So I started off in trade exhibitions, and then I moved into consumer, which is really where I found my sort of forte. I was headhunted in to go to the Daily Mail Group and run the what was the Daily Mail ski and snowboard show, which was a big sort of 40-year heritage event
Wow.
that was struggling with an evolving ski market that was moving. Snowboarding was the thing, and it was moving into free sports and skate and everything. And they had this obviously huge brand in the UK, but one that was seen as very divorced from a a very active and sort of fun leisure pursuit. So I rebranded that to the Metro, which was the big free sheet in London, and
Mm.
changed the content of that. And I think that's where I started kind of understanding consumer marketing in a way that I'd never had before. And you could have the best product in the world, so you could have the best marketing campaign in the world, and if your product is wrong, people might trust you once, but they're definitely not coming back. I
Exactly.
remember I created this campaign called Unmissable, and it was the worst attendance that we'd had in like 5 years. And I gave a talk on the what did we learn about this campaign? Well, just because you say it's unmissable doesn't mean that people are going to come. So from that, I learned how to build content and shows and started running ski show among others, changing and putting content at its heart, whether that's knowledge or experience or fun. Um, how and why should people trust you with their £20 and their
Mm.
family day out or their date night or something?
Yeah.
And we doubled the attendance to the event over the next 2 years as a result. And and it was a great experience. We had a lovely team that really bought into it. And then from there, I ended up in a position whereby the Daily Mail Group were selling their consumer show portfolio, and I was a 29-year-old. I was walking around this vineyard in Sonoma where my boss lived, and he said, "Look, you're doing a great job. We're really impressed with you, but we're selling your business." Well, what does that mean? He said, "Well, it means that here's some money if you go with the buyer. We need you to front all of the prospective buyers and things, and that's this process." And and I realized very quickly that it'd be nice to trouser some money and do things, but actually I didn't want to leave it, and I didn't really. And I met some of these buyers, and I understood what they wanted to do with it. And I thought I don't want to leave it, and I don't want to go and work for you because I know you're going to do that.
Mm.
But then I phoned up someone who knew a lot more about these things than me, and I said, "How do I raise a certain amount of money? How do I even start with this? Because I'd like to try and buy it." And then 4 months later, we ended up buying a private investment, and I put all the money that I would have made from the sale in, and we created a small company, about 26 of us, called VOS Media, and we ran consumer shows, ski show, women's health show called Vitality, outdoor show, and published a ski magazine. And then we launched the London Bike Show, which from zero to 55,000 visitors took us 3 years, I think.
Goodness me, that's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, and so we started getting reasonably good at that, but then the internet changed all of the retail market, and so people stopped buying things in shops and at shows and price matching and things, and the warehouse and e-commerce world came in where you didn't
Mm.
need a show or a physical shop. And so it was challenging, and we morphed the business, and we sold the business in 2013 to the Daily Telegraph Group, who were looking to diversify into live events, as a lot of the big publishers were doing at the time. And then we built that business. I joined as managing director of Telegraph Events there, and we built it from 5 shows to 60 in 4.5 years. And we diversified into conferencing, built some very strong conferencing streams on the serious side of the Telegraph business and that brand. And then we built some playful things like a gin festival on Kensington Roof Gardens, and
Wow.
a whiskey festival, and an evening with um, all kinds of Robert De Niro and God, who else was there?
You
So
had an
many.
evening with Robert De Niro.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
we
my
did.
goodness, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
and some of that. Yeah, we did a Bridgerton film premiere and different things, and it was really interesting. We learned a lot about the consumer behaviors of just because 2 million of your readership say they like whiskey doesn't mean they're going to turn up to a whiskey festival.
No,
Um,
that's true. No, I guess
it's not
so.
the same with gin though. Gin, they travelled the country to come to a gin festival, it turned out. So we did all of that, and I joined their leadership team and sat on the Telegraph leadership team for 3 years. And then my earnout finished, and it's like, right, I probably need a little bit of a break here because I've been at this hard for a long time. So I took 6 months off to help my wife raised our firstborn.
Oh, how lovely.
And after 5 months, she said, "We need to have
Go,
a chat." And
go and get a job.
I
Yes,
said,
you're
"What's
too
that?"
restless.
She said, "You need to go back to work." I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much." But it was a very special time, me and my
Yeah,
son, to have that when he was first born.
yeah.
Um, so then I didn't want to be a CEO or an MD. I kind of thought it's been quite a lonely place for a long time doing that, and I wanted to think about what I did next. So I set up a small consultancy business, and I picked up 3 clients, and one of them was XL London. And so I was working for them part time, and they asked me to work on a possible Formula E electric uh, championship, which is the electric version of Formula One, and to try and bring it to XL. And we did that successfully. And they said, "Now you need to come and join." And I said, "No, it's all right. I'll just stay freelance." And they said, "No, you really do." And I said, "Well, what else do you want me to do? I can't just do one event. I used to run 100 people. I'll get really bored, and you'll get bored of me." And they said, "Well, look, Elizabeth Line's coming. We'd like to look at how we strategically move into entertainment, and we don't know how to do it. We know that you have done that and know that world. So why don't you come and lead the strategic direction to do that?" So that's what I did.
Wow, wow. Amazing, really. I haven't been to see this event in London, but I've heard, and obviously I've seen the odd video clip. I just still can't get my head around, having been to XL so many times, the fact that you've got racing cars going around there. I think you said 200 miles an hour or something ridiculous. I just can't get my head around that.
Yeah, about 100. about 160, 170 miles an hour, 200,
170. Okay. Well,
200 and something kilometers an hour.
okay, right. But either way, it just feels like in such a what seems like a small space, phenomenal. But I guess it isn't such a small space because, when you're walking down there, you see all of I never see them all empty. They've all got different shows going on. But I think what's really fascinating about this whole world of immersiveness is the fact that we, the consumer or the guest, is very much involved in it. It feels, and as we talk more, it's not just about you're just viewing. There is this sense that we're involved and engaged in a way that perhaps hasn't happened before.
Yeah. Well, so there's a few people have described this very eloquently, and I'll use a couple of ways to describe it that I've heard that I quite liked. So one of them was imagine yourself at the theatre. Imagine you've gone to see Mamma Mia or Back to the Future or
Hmm.
something, and your sort of experience over centuries has been you pay for your ticket, you arrive in the foyer, you buy your drink, you walk up the stairs, and depending on your wealth, you're either up right at the top in the tiny seats, or you're in a box, or you're in a box circle, whatever you are. But you sit down, you're entertained, you hear a story. There's professional performances, there's great lighting, there's choreography, there's everything you'd expect. There's overpriced ice cream and a program and all the things you're quite happy to pay for and everything else. Queue for the toilets is always far bigger than it should be.
That's
And then you clap and then they do an encore and then you leave. And that's what it's always been. Now, immersive theatre and immersive entertainment, but specifically immersive theatre, is imagine that you walk in and there are no seats and there is no stage because the stage is everything, is the space. And the
exactly.
seats don't exist because depending on the level of immersement, you are part of that story.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, I think I said to you when we last spoke, I went to the Bridgerton experience, having
Mhm.
never seen this because a friend of mine invited me,
Yeah.
and it was in what I couldn't figure out. It was in this industrial estate in Wembley in
hmm
West London,
hmm hmm
and I'm thinking, some people have obviously been dressed up, and I was, I've got my Google Maps out, thinking. This doesn't feel right. I'm expecting to see some form of, theatre. But as soon as you go past the ticket queue, you just feel like you're on the set of Bridgerton. And I remember being, because I was there quite early, like Lady Bridgerton would come, walked in my direction and said to me, "Oh, Lady Bridgerton here. It's so lovely to see you. What be your name? Where do you hail from?" And of course, although it made me smile, it almost made me feel like I had to respond similar. But it was,
Did you put on the voice?
I think I did actually,
Were you
just
in period dress code?
no, I had a velvet jacket on, should I say? So
Oh, nice. Right, well, you know, dipped your toe in.
I dipped my
Um,
toe in, yeah. But the
yeah,
concept is what I was talking
yeah.
about, really.
The Secret Cinema are one of the pioneers with it in this country, probably globally. Secret Cinema and Punch Drunk Studios were the originals, and I remember going to Secret Cinema. Oh God, 15 years ago. I remember seeing Blade Runner, Lawrence of Arabia, um, and there some incredible the size and scale of what they did, and and the challenges that they faced is that 15 years ago there were plenty of old warehouses, there were plenty of places that you could, and the expectation was low because they're the only ones doing it. So
Right. Yeah.
if it was boiling hot, if it was freezing, you just got on with it,
Yeah.
and if you queued for an hour because they've only managed to put one set of toilets in, or because it was new and you were willing to be um, tolerant with that, and you'd see a thousand people walking on. I remember sitting on the floor of an alley pally hall to watch Lawrence of Arabia, and you know you can't feel your bottom after 2 hours, and there was no rugs or anything. It was yeah, but it was part of it. It was something new, and then you fast forward now, and they're one of many players in that industry. It's
Well,
evolved.
Mamma Mia, of course, is another very popular one at O2, and that's this trying to get tickets for that is difficult because people, what happens is they experience it, they love it, and they tell their friends. So it's this it's great level of advocacy. And now across London, there are numerous different types of productions, aren't there? I went to see 40 Towers. I don't know if you've seen to see the 40 Towers experience. That's
How was that?
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
I saw it Southwold Pier. And you just feel like you are back on the set with Basil and Manuel, and it's hilarious. I mean, we're having lunch, but everybody's absolutely killing themselves with laughter. So yeah, it's great. And now you're doing something which I think is really fantastic at Excel with this new experience. So tell us a little bit about that.
yeah. So part of what I was asked to come here and do was to create this entertainment play. Excel's already 4 million visitors a year, and I think if there's a criticism, it's always focused on the 9 a.m. to the 5:30 because
Mhm.
all of the business gets done in the box with 70% trade here running huge global conferences for Salesforce and Google and Amazon, as well as massive exhibitions such as World Travel Market and brand licensing
Yeah.
and everything in between. But there'd never been a campus focus on how do we want to treat people after the event. And where is that moment where someone's just signed a 20 million pound deal and want to go and have a glass of champagne and want to, where's that moment where someone's been working their team in an exhibition hall for 14 hours and they just want to go and buy them a beer and have a pizza or do something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's always was part of the criticism of Excel that you get out there and there wasn't there was the functional, really important business part, which we do brilliantly, but there was never the hearts and minds of those post moments.
Mm.
So I'd been a customer of Excel for a very long time. It had always sort of sat with me that I'm so, well, and I love this waterfront. This waterfront was a kilometre of south facing, non-tidal Royal Dock that had the most incredible views, has the most incredible views of the O2, the cable car, and the city,
Mm.
and
Particularly at
the very
sunset, or
incredible and sunrise, right?
and
So you get
sunrise,
this
and
you get
sunrise,
this
absolutely.
180 view,
Totally agree.
and it was such a rare thing. And if you're in the South Halls, it's literally down 14 steps, and you're on that waterfront. So exhibition halls, as we know, are they're places with air conditioning. They're places with no natural light because they need to be functional as
Mm.
big spaces that can deliver a large volume of people, and they have a very set format which works. So to be able to walk down those 14 steps and suddenly you're greeted with natural light and you've got water and you've got all of these experiences that are punctuated by bars and restaurants seemed like a very natural thing to do. So the challenge was that it was going to take a considerable amount of capex, and to be able to put in quality hospitality, we needed to generate a volume of people. So I started looking at the what and understanding how that landscape was looking, and competitive socializing was beginning to take off in a big way. And this is all just sort of pre-pandemic. And
I love the fact
um,
you call it competitive socializing.
yeah,
Makes absolute sense, but that's
well,
the phrase, isn't it? That's what it's
that
called.
that's what it is. That's exactly what it is, and that's not new. I think people think that's new. All that's done is a byproduct of the fact that years ago you used to go to a pub and there'd be a pool table and be a dartboard.
Right.
And then pubs used to do like scampi in a basket and call that food. Like you'd take your life in your hands if you ordered food in a pub. And you say that now, people are like, "What are you crazy?" If you say that to anyone on the age of 30, they'll be like, "What do you mean they didn't used to do?" They didn't. And then the gastropub was invented, and then all pubs started doing food. And of course, pool tables and dartboards, that they take up room, right? And drunk people throwing darts is never a good bedfellow for someone sitting there eating an overpriced pie. So you lost that competitive socializing side of things, which everyone thinks they can play pool or darts after 3 pints, right? Everyone thinks they've got that inbuilt talent that nobody else has. They don't, right? Um, so so you then go to the pub, you'd eat maybe this camping, but probably not. You'd have a few drinks, and then you'd go to a nightclub, right? Because people needed to dance and listen to live music and meet, you know, potential boyfriends and girlfriends and all that. And then the old model was probably a kebab after all of that. And all that's happened is that there's been a significant decline in live music venues and nightclubs, as we've seen,
Definitely.
and kebab shops as a result have fallen foul of that, because you would never eat a kebab if you were not outside it at 2 in the morning having too many drinks. So you end up with competitive socializing filling the void of the pool table, the dartboard, now putting, and all these things that weren't
Mm.
possible in pubs. Also, they serve food, which is great and normally very good, sort of street food. But they also play loud music where people want to dance and meet other people, and they do it all in one box. So competitive socializing isn't new. It's just a series of things that have been glued
Yeah.
together, and it's
Yeah.
clever and
Very.
it works. And immersive entertainment is the most overused term in hospitality and entertainment at the moment, right? You can't go to a pub without it being immersive. You can't do anything, right? And that's part of the challenge, because it's embryonic, because it is growing. If you get theatre tickets, you know that if you're going to the West End, that it's going to be in one of these theatres. It's going to be well produced. It's going to be well set up, and seats are going to be here, and ice cream reassuringly expensive. But there's a consistent
Mm.
form to it. Immersive entertainment, you want to put on a non-rights managed Van Gogh in a warehouse in East London, and you don't want to pay for heating, then you can. And that experience is completely different to going to a purpose-built ABBA arena, but it's all lumped in with the same. It's all
Yeah.
immersive entertainment. So what we're doing with Immerse London is trying to set a new benchmark for quality. If if we are committed to working with tier one operators that put high quality production values into what they do, that work on paying their actors well, looking after them,
Mm.
and ensuring that their front of house staff are well presented and looked after,
Quite.
then that experience translates through. The production values need to be high. The teams that they present need to be happy in what they do and want to be a part of that. And I think that doing that consistently across the chapters mean that we will be able to build a reputation for um, every single time a customer hands over £20 or £50, whatever it is, that you're entrusted with that.
You
Right?
are. Yeah.
That moment is them saying, "I trust you with my money.
Quite.
Am I here for an hour or 2 hours? How are you going to look after me? How are you going to make me feel? And what are we doing here?" And you are then responsible for that transaction and how you make those people feel. It's a very powerful um, opportunity, right? You get wrong, don't get another chance.
No,
And
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, so you've got at the moment, you've got the Friends experience at the moment. And how long's that been up? Is that open? Yes.
yeah, Friends has been open for nearly 4 months.
Yeah.
We've also got the Formula One exhibition, which has been open a similar amount of time. Um, and between the two of them, they've sold about just under 350,000 tickets
Goodness
in,
me. Wow, that's incredible.
yeah. So they're extremely popular. And
And you've got the
they,
new one. You've got this. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that, or is that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So in May of next year, on the 1st of May next year, um, we've got a production called Elvis Evolution going in, which the word Elvis doesn't need much explaining, but that in a live format does. So effectively, um, the king of rock and roll is being brought back to life through a 1 hour, 40-minute storytelling. So you'll learn about the his humble beginnings, love of gospel music, how that translated through to, his very, very first recording contract. And you will live that life and you will see all the way through that. And then the second part is a performance from the king himself, using all of that amazing technology that didn't exist not too long ago, being able to recreate a moment for someone that never played in this country to actually play to an intimate
Is that right? You
audience.
never played in this country?
Nope, never played in this country.
Goodness me, I didn't know that. Wow, wow. And yet his phenomena and the amount of tribute acts that have been involved with Elvis have been considerable, haven't they?
Yeah.
Um, wow. And then there's the other one, isn't there? The Fame
Fame
what
Factory. Yeah,
Fame
Fame Factory is not live in the public eye yet, but is going to be um, so the director of it says, what did he say? I dare you not to have fun in this event. And this is a man that's produced the Oscars, the Grammys, and the Super Bowl halftime show. This is a man that fully understands
So
how
this is about being famous in a going. It's almost like a conveyor belt of going to be famous, isn't it? And that's what I thought.
this, yeah,
It's
this
so
this is an
intrigued me.
opportunity for Gordon. This is an opportunity for you to wash away your blandness, your unmassive global superstarness about you, and walk through and become that super celebrity you've always wanted to be. So think private jets, think fashion shoots, think performances. It's a moment for you to step out of yourself and have an hour of absolute fun with friends, with colleagues, and it has a ginormous appeal uh, across different age groups, and will be silly, will be surprising, and is something that we're really excited to host. So we're not just about big blockbusters in terms of names and content. I think we want to be a place to be able to incubate great, forward-thinking, creative people in this space as well. And Fame Factor will give us an opportunity to do that.
Amazing. Well, on that.